Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of Expertly Dyed Art by Science, and today we're actually going to use the drop spindle. Yay! Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about the anatomy of a drop spindle. So this little disc here is called a whorl, and this is what provides most of the weight for your drop spindle. This is a top whorl because it's at the top here. You can also put this at the bottom here, and you would have a bottom whorl spindle. And there are different reasons why you would want to have either a top whorl or a bottom whorl, but I won't talk about that today. I just want to talk about how to actually use this thing. So the shaft, this is where the yarn is going to go as you're making it, and this is a hook at the very top. And this is really basic, guys. So you can find these parts at any local craft store like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or something. Anyway, so I took a piece of just waste yarn. So this is commercial acrylic yarn that I have laying around. I use it for a lot of things like tying off skeins and drop spindle leaders. This is called a leader. So this is what will help you get the new yarn you're making onto the spindle. For beginners, this is really useful, but you don't always have to have this, and maybe in a later video I will actually show you that you don't need that. Anyway, so there's a notch here in the back. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this yarn up through that notch. I'm just going to hold this there with my thumb so it doesn't escape. And then I'm going to take the yarn, I'm going to go once under and once under again. I'm going to take this part and put it on the hook. I'm going to pull it. And this is what's called a half hitch. This is going to lock the leader where it is so that it doesn't easily come off the hook when you get to spinning. Okay, now there are a couple ways you can spin. You can spin clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm going to spin clockwise. Okay, you just give it a little bit of some twist here, right, like that, and then you can see it sort of back twist. Okay, so just play with your spindle, with the leader. Just practice getting the spin into it. This one isn't very well balanced, as you can tell. This was the very first spindle that I bought. Since I have made spindles that are way better than this, and I'm sure you probably can too. Anyway, so I was going to show you, because I dug these out now, this is how fiber looks once it's been dyed. This is top, combed top, I talked about in my last episode. It can be put together in a crocheting chain like this, or it could just be folded and put together as a bundle like this one. And yeah, these are both dyed wool top, and I love them. Oh, I could just bathe in wool. Soft wool. Anyway, but when you unwind it, it's going to be really fat like this. And getting this on here is actually a little bit of a challenge. So what we're going to do is we're just going to find a piece that is naturally parting, like right here. There's a thin spot here. I'm just going to put my thumbs through and I'm going to pull it apart. And this is what's going to give me a manageable piece. Now, if it's too long for you, you can always pull it apart. Now, important thing to check is the staple length, and that is the length of the fiber. So you're going to pull off a little wisp here, and then you're going to put your fingers on either side and pull. Okay, don't break it, but just pull gently. And if you feel like you're playing tug of war with your hands, it means you've got both ends of the same fiber. So you just keep scooting your fingers out until it starts to draft apart. And that's about 2.5 to 3 inches for me. So I know that the fiber length is about 2.5 inches. So when I hold my hands for the spinning process, I want to make sure I have enough space between my hands so that I'm not playing tug of war with the same piece of fiber. Now, the next thing we have to do is we have to attenuate the fiber, which is a really, really fancy word for pull the fibers apart so that you add both air and, well, you would just add air and you make it a little bit easier to spin so you can get a really consistent yarn. So basically you just pull this out a little bit at a time, or like a little inchworm here. So you pull a little bit out, you pull a little bit out, you pull a little bit out, okay? If you have a slightly thin spot, it's okay. You're a beginner. It's going to happen. And you know what? Beginner yarn always looks really, really fabulous. As a spinner for the last, you know, almost 3 years now, I can say that it's really difficult for me to make the first kinds of yarns that I did again. So if you're making lumpy, bumpy, thick and thin, super textured yarns, treasure it. I still have my first hands, well, I have 2 balls of my first hand spun at home still, and I've never made anything with it, not because it was terrible, but because I wanted to keep it. Like a sentimental thing. Anyway, so I pulled this piece all to roughly the same thickness, and then what I'm going to do on my spindle here, I just did a square knot to get it attached here. Just go right over left, then left over right to make the knot, and then I put it on the hook like that. Oh, got stuck. Alright, then the end, I just tied another knot, square knot here, and this loop here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this end of the fiber, I'm going to put it through the loop like that. I'm going to fold it over and grab everything in my right hand. Now, this is actually the biggest challenge, keeping the fiber away from the drop spindle and this leader. Okay, so I'm going to add some twist. I'm going to let it build up, build up, build up, build up. Okay, it's going to get really tight. And then I'm going to do what's called the park and draft method. I'm going to park it under my arm, or you can alternatively put it between your knees, and then you just pull up on your fiber a little bit if you want to draft out some pieces somewhere, right? And then the twist that you've built up here is going up into your yarn. Now, because this is about the length of my arm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off the hook, and I have this little bit of yarn that I just made. So I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Take it off the hook, and gosh, I still have a little bit of a cough from almost 3 weeks ago. Oh, it's terrible. And then I'm just going to wind it on the spindle. It doesn't really matter how you get it on, so long as you actually just get it on here. So when I get to, I don't know, maybe 6 inches, I'm going to stick the new yarn into that hole, or the notch, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the leader yarn. I'm going to take my thumb, go under once more, and I'm going to put it, get back in the frame. I'm going to put it on the hook like that, bring my thumb out, and pull it tight. Okay, and then I'm going to load this up with some more twist. Right, I can put it under my armpit here, and then I'm just going to pull this apart. Notice that my left hand is pinching the twist so it doesn't go in here. If it goes in here and you try to pull it apart, it's not going to pull apart because you've added the twist. So if you want to make any adjustments, make them now. Pinch off with your fiber. This is your fiber supply hand. Pinch off with this hand. You can let this hand go, and the twist will travel up into the fiber you just pulled apart. Okay? Now, if it feels like you need to add a little bit more twist, add a little bit more twist. Gosh, sorry. Focus, camera! Focus! Okay, going to add some more twist, park it under my arm. I'm going to pull this out, right? Like this. I'm going to pull it out. And I'm going to let that twist travel up into the yarn. Now, this is when you should check to make sure you have enough twist. If you have a little bit too much, that's fine. It's totally fine. If you don't have enough twist, that's actually where the problem becomes, because when you start giving a little bit of tension on your yarn, it's going to fall apart because there's not enough twist to keep it together. So if it's a little over twisted, it's fine. It might be a little bit of a harsher yarn, but you know, this is your first hand spun, and so don't worry about it. It happens to almost everybody. Alright, now we have this length, but we want to keep this under tension. So what I do is I take this fiber and I wrap it. I go from here, I wrap it around my middle finger, and it's sort of pinched between my first 2 fingers here. Then I'm going to take my thumb, go up underneath, into my pinky. And I go up underneath into my pinky. And this keeps it under tension while I fiddle with the hook. Take the yarn off the hook, and then I wind on the yarn, like so. When I get to about 6 inches-ish, put it up in the notch, wrap it around the thumb, pull it tight on the hook. Okay? And then you just keep doing this process. You load up some twist, right? Load up some twist, draft out some fibers. Make sure you're always pinching. If you're pulling on the same fiber, it's not going to draft apart. And then, yeah, you just keep adding. You keep adding twist when you run out from here, and yeah, you just keep going and going and going and going and going and going until you have a piece of yarn that is really long, longer than your arm. Here. And then I'm going to release a little bit of tension to check to make sure I have enough twist. So when I release, there should be a piece of the yarn. Can you see that? It sort of coils up on itself. That's a good sign. That means I have enough twist. I'm going to take it off the hook, and I'm going to wind it on to the spindle. Okay. And then when you're done for the day, what I do is this piece here, I'll just fold it over itself and let it ply on itself. So it won't come off the hook, it won't come undone, and then you have all this extra. You can take this fiber off and store it separately. You can just put this all together, shove it in a bag. Depends on the fiber, I guess. You probably don't want to do that with cashmere. That would be a sin. Anyway, so the next video I will show you how to do a join, because that was the thing that scared the living daylights out of me. Whenever I got to a place where I had to add more fiber, I was like, oh god. I was terrible at joins. Anyway, so yeah, this is video number 2 of my Learn to Spin with a Drop Spindle series, okay? If you liked this video, please click the thumbs up guy, subscribe, let everyone else know about me. I have more than just crafting videos, but if you have other friends that you know that might be interested in spinning or fiber arts or any of that stuff, tell them about my channel so they can subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. Anyway, so I'll be back real soon. Bye.